Do you need to change your Harley Davidson windshield, or should you just not bother? Catch you inside. RevelatorAlf. Hi, welcome to RevelatorAlf. I hope you're all well in these testing times. So this video is all about putting an aftermarket windshield on your existing fairing, or just attaching it to your handlebars or to your frame, let's say on your Harley Davidson. Is it worth it? Are they worth the money that you pay? Now, one of the most common emails that I get, one of the most common questions that I get is about Harley Davidson fairings, and also the windshields in particular, how effective they are. Are they value for money? And the problem is, and it's a very simple answer to a very difficult question in many ways, but there is no magic ingredient, there is no magic pill. It really is trial and error. The problem is, it really depends what the relationship is between the height of the windshield and your physical size as well. It also depends on what your personal preference is. Do you like wind in the face? Do you like wind that will go over your helmet, let's say? Do you like wind that hit you in the chest? It really depends. So there's lots of variables involved to determine if it's going to be suitable for you or not. Now, if we take the Harley Davidson which I ride, the Sport Glide, which has a really small fairing and it has a very small stock windshield. Now, Harley Davidson themselves, they do offer a taller windshield, about 5.5 inches, let's say, and basically you just undo the screws at the front of the fairing, you slot the windshield out, and then you put a taller one in and do the screws back up, bish bash bosh, it's done. So that will come up here. Now, there are aftermarket ones now available, so you can get all sorts of heights from 5 inches, 6, 7, 8 inches, 10 inches. You can even get 12-inch ones that will come all the way up here. So that is a substantial wind deflection. Now, there's always going to be pros and cons to this, of course. So let's say if you have a really tall windshield, well, yes, it's going to mask off the front of the bike, let's say. You're not going to get a lot of airflow on you, which might be great if you're riding in inclement weather, for example. You want the rain to go away from you. But if you're riding on a really hot day, then that's actually going to limit the amount of cooling air that comes onto you. The other factor of a really tall windshield is that it adds to a lot of vibration. There's going to be ultimately a lot of flexing, not only in the windshield itself, but also on the fairing. The problem with Harley Davidson Sport Glides in particular is that the fairing can rub on the lower triple tree, on the lower yoke, which causes it to get marked and damaged. So you have to raise the fairing off the lower triple tree to avoid it being scratched. You might want to cover it with tape or vinyl wrap as well, just for that added protection. But if you add a much taller screen, it's going to add to that vibration, and it's going to add to the potential of damaging that lower yoke or that lower triple tree. Now, when the Softails were first introduced in 2018 with the M8 engine here I'm talking about, and the Harley Davidson Sport Glide came out, for example, there was very limited options to get taller screens. But within the passing of time, more and more companies have been producing them, because let's face it, more and more people have been asking for it. One of the big criticisms of this bike by many was the size of the fairing, and also the height of the windshield. So it comes down to personal preference. How much wind do you like, and how much are you willing to accept? Are you going for shorter journeys, longer journeys? Do you like cooling air on hot days, or do you like to be completely protected in inclement weather? Now, as I say, there is no magic pill. And would you believe it, many people have emailed me with their changes that they've made. They've gone from a stock height windshield, let's say, in my case on the Sport Glide, and they've gone for a much taller one, and they found it was unbearable. The vibrations were too much. It just didn't work out. It was noisy. The wind was all over the place in terms of the way it deflected onto the body or to the head. That was causing a lot of buffeting. They didn't like it. They actually went back to a stock height or a much lower height. So actually having a high windshield doesn't always necessarily mean you can have a much better ride. It really depends. And unfortunately, it's all trial and error. You're never really going to know until you actually fit it on your bike. So in an ideal world, you'd find somebody else who's got exactly the same bike as you, and let's say they've got a taller windshield or any kind of windshield fitted. Ask if you can ride their bike or get their opinion about what it feels like. But you won't really know, again, until you actually ride that bike with that windshield on there. I'll give you a story here. When I used to ride adventure bikes as well, I had a motorcycle, a Triumph, that you could electrically adjust the height of the windshield, and it was great for that. But it was a constant need to change it according to the different conditions of the day. And yes, you'd find a general happy medium, but it was that ability to be able to change it that made it really beneficial. Once you've got a fixed fairing and a fixed windshield, that's it. You're kind of limited to what you can do with it. You're stuck with it. You're stuck with the height of it. You're stuck with the wind deflection. So if you don't get it right, okay, you know, you might as well just get rid of it and just go back to what you had before. So it really depends. Now, you could be chasing your tail here to find the right one for you, and unfortunately it's a guessing game. You kind of have to judge where the wind is hitting you right now and where you would like that wind to be flected to afterwards. So if the wind is hitting you right here at the top of the chest, let's say, and you want the airflow to go over your helmet or over your head, then you're probably looking at a substantial increase in windshield height to achieve that. If the wind is already hitting you here, let's say square in the chops, and you want it to go over your head, then actually you're probably looking for only 1 or 2 inches rise in that windshield height. Now, of course, there are many different styles and there are many different color options, smoke, shade, clear, even colored options right now. So you can get all those on the market, and there are lots of different companies that are producing them. What you need to be aware of is what they're made of and how flimsy, how malleable they are as well. You want something that's still relatively thick material and relatively sturdy. Again, it's a bit of a trial and error, but go on the reviews, see what you find. The companies like Clockworks, they produce some decent ones as well, but also there are cheaper ones available on AliExpress, let's say eBay, or independent internet retailers that actually are really good, but they're a fraction of the price as well. So you're going to have to shop around, a bit of trial and error, and see what you can find. Anyway, I hope you found that useful, but as I say, a taller windscreen does not necessarily mean you can have a much more comfortable ride. Just beware of that extra vibration. Just beware of any extra damage that you might be causing to your bike. And as I say, one windshield would not be the solution for every rider. It really depends on what you're riding, how tall you are, and what your personal preference is. Right. Hope you found that useful. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell, like and share. Check out the website RevelatorAlf.com. Exclusive content on the members area. There is a content creator course there, and lots more content coming for you very, very soon. Bye now.